Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good night, depending on whichever time zone you are in, because as we know, there are so many people in this meeting from all over the world. I am Shakira Mohammed, a teacher for the past 15 years, and this is our 148th edition of our Zoom public meeting. We wish to sincerely thank all those who have contributed in whatever way to the success of this Pan-Indo-Caribbean and Pan-Indian Diaspora Global Project. So for 147 unbroken continuous weeks, we have been here every single Sunday. In the past 3 years and 2 weeks, we have featured 602 presenters from all parts of the world speaking on 147 topics. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a weekly forum being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center, a legally registered research and publishing company operating since 2010. And like today, we often partner with the Amina Ghafoor Institute for the study of indentureship, and its legacy is led by Professor David Davidine, who is with us today, and thank you for joining us, sir. In order to continue this weekly program and to make it bigger and better, we are asking that you kindly give us your suggestions as well as donations, and you can contact Dr. Kumar Mahabir for further details. At this time, the Muslim community is now observing the holy month of Ramadan. Hindus have just celebrated the beginning of Ram Navami, the birthday of Lord Ram, and Christians are still observing the period of Lent. So it's quite a mix that we are in right now, which is absolutely beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, our moderator this evening or tonight is Shalama Mohammed, the co-director of this Zoom platform, who is a business teacher and researcher from Trinidad and Tobago. She obtained her master's degree in business psychology from Franklin University in the USA. Shalama, welcome.
Thank you so much, Shakira. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Namaste, and a very warm welcome to you all. It's very hot in Trinidad today. As you all know, our Elders program is very important to us, and we host this program at the first Sunday of every month. I just want to welcome all of you all again, and I want to remind you all, please do not unmute anyone. Please do not accept anyone to join. We have Dr. Mahabir and Ravin Ram Singh who is doing that. At this point in time, I just would like to welcome our first speaker today, and that is Mr. Bob Pillai from South Africa. He's 90 years old. He was born in 1932. He's a former auto mechanic who eventually managed the business with his father and two brothers for about 35 years. He's now actively involved in the temple. So I want to welcome Mr. Pillai. Mr. Pillai, can you hear me?
Yes, unmute.
Okay, there, I'm seeing you. Can you just, how are you, sir?
Well, thank you, ma'am.
Yes,
Yourself?
yes, unmute.
Good. Yeah, would you mind just pulling your laptop screen a little bit closer to you? It's a little too high. Yes, that's very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Pillai, did you live in South Africa all of your life?
Yeah, born in South Africa.
What can you tell me about your parents?
My parents.
Yeah.
Well, my parents are my God.
Yes,
That's the way
like
I
many
look at
of us. Like many of us.
That's it, yeah.
Were they born in South Africa as well?
Yes, they are. Yes, both of them were born in South Africa.
Okay. Did you know your grandparents?
No, unfortunately, just via photographs. That's all.
Okay. Would you mind just speaking a little bit louder for our audience, please?
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Did your parents tell you anything about your grandparents?
I think we were too young. We never really discussed the grandparents. You know,
All right.
we were too young.
So please share with me your earliest memories of anything having to do with Indian culture or Indian heritage that you remember in your family.
Well, Indian heritage, not so much, but Indian culture, yeah. I was very involved well, after the business, I was very involved in my temple.
Okay, can you be
And,
a little bit louder, please? I'm not getting you clearly.
I was
Culturally inclined.
I was culturally inclined, so I got into my temple, and I'm still there at the temple, and now I'm the head of the temple now at the moment.
Okay, very nice.
And I got two priests under me.
So in terms of temple activities and so on, is that something you were involved in as a child?
Well, yes, 32 years ago, well, 90 years ago, I was christened in the same temple.
Oh, I see. Okay. And how involved were your parents in temple life?
Very involved. That's why I got involved, through my parents.
Yeah, share some details about that.
About my parents.
When did they go to service? Was there just puja? Were there weddings? What happened that your parents were involved in?
Well, mainly my father in the right from the very beginning. My father was very involved in the prayer, and he became a trustee of the temple. And through him, I got into the temple as well. And well, I got to thank my dad for introducing me to the temple, because it's given me the experience from a very early age into temple worship, temple ritual, and I'm now as good as a priest.
Excellent.
I got two priests, and they know that they can't do any shortcuts, because I can pick them up very quickly.
So is that a frequent occurrence in South Africa that the pundits take shortcuts?
Yeah, but you see, the priests are the priests tend to take shortcuts now and again. So when they press for time or they've got other commitments, so I just keep an eye on them.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
And I've got at the moment where I have two fairly young priests, fairly young. One is 50 and one is 40.
Okay, so in South Africa, where are the pundits trained?
Sorry, ma'am.
In South Africa, where?
Both were trained in Tamil Nadu.
So they would have had to leave South Africa, go to Tamil Nadu, and return.
Yeah. No, they came to us trained from Tamil Nadu. They were in a Gurukulam in Tamil Nadu, and that's where we picked them up and brought them into South Africa.
So is there no institution or group that does Panditai training in South Africa?
We haven't got that. We haven't got that facility, because we haven't got the knowledge to have a Gurukulam. So we leave the Gurukulam training to Tamil Nadu. When they come out of the Gurukulam, after serving, being like an apprentice to them for 7 years, then they come out as trained with the title of Gurukul.
Okay. So just walk me through this. You said that you are very close to becoming a Pandit yourself. How did you transition, or did you have to transition? I mean, you're a mechanic, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your mechanic. Tell us a little bit about your mechanic interest. How did that arise?
Oh, well, it was very early when I finished matric. We got into we applied for apprenticeship, and at that time, no Indians in South Africa could take any trade. And we were the first people that was accepted. There's 5 of us that was accepted as Indian apprentices. First time in the country.
So
And I must add that we went through with flying colors and we achieved, we wrote our trick. It's a 5-year apprenticeship. We served 3.5 years. They gave us an opportunity to write a trade test. And both of us, all 5 of us, got through with an average of 95% pass.
Excellent. So who are these others, the 4 others? Are they friends of yours or relatives?
Unfortunately, there's only one out of the 4 or 5 of us. There's only one living. There's one other living. Both of us are in. Well, he's 88 and I'm 90.
Okay, but the 5 of you all, when you came, I mean, this is historic. You all were the first Indians or Indo-South Africans to become mechanics in the country. What made you all decide to actually do something as Indo-South Africans that was not necessarily something that people of your heritage did?
Yeah, but with love for motoring, love for cars. That's what, and then to cap it all, my dad opened a garage just as I finished my internship.
So your father would have owned his own vehicle at the time? Hello? Hello?
We were having problems with his internet. The usual problem of
The load shedding.
load shedding in South Africa. So he goes and comes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Let's while he's trying to reconnect, why don't we just pull up one of those songs that we have?
Okay, Ravin.
So ladies and gentlemen, we do apologize for the glitch. Unfortunately, it's beyond our control. South Africa, as we all know, there is a load shedding issue. They generate, and we have South Africans in the audience, so you all could correct me if I'm wrong. The electricity is generated from coal, and recently there's been some issues with that. So we are just hoping that it works well. Do enjoy this number.
मेरे महबूब कयामत होगी आज रुसवा तेरी गलियों में मोहब्बत होगी नाम निकलेगा तेरा ही लब से जान जब इस दिले नाकाम से रुखसत होगी मेरे महबूब मेरे सनम के दर से अगर बाद सबा हो तेरा गुजर कहना सितमगर कुछ है खबर तेरा नाम लिया जब तक भी जिया है शमा तेरा परवाना जिससे अब तक तुझे नफरत होगी आज रुसवा तेरी गलियों में मोहब्बत होगी मेरे महबूब कयामत होगी आज रुसवा तेरी गलियों में मोहब्बत होगी मेरे महबूब गलियों में मोहब्बत होगी। मेरी नजरें तो गिला करती हैं, तेरे दिल को भी सनम तुझसे शिकायत होगी। मेरे महबूब तेरी गली में आता सनम, नगमा वफा का गाता सनम, तुझसे सुनाना जाता सनम। फिर आज इधर आया हूँ मगर ये कहने मैं दीवाना, खत्म बस आज ये वहशत होगी। आज रुसवा तेरी गलियों में मोहब्बत होगी। मेरे महबूब मेरी तरह तू आहें भरे, तू भी किसी से प्यार करे और रहे वो तुझसे परे। तूने ओ सनम ढाए है सितम, तो ये तू भूल न जाना कि न तुझ पे भी इनायत होगी। आज रुसवा तेरी गलियों में मोहब्बत होगी। मेरे महबूब कयामत होगी। आज रुसवा तेरी गलियों में मोहब्बत होगी। मेरी नजरें तो गिला करती हैं, तेरे दिल को भी सनम तुझसे शिकायत होगी। मेरे महबूब
Terrific. So I know some of you enjoy that. I've been getting some messages sent to me that has been bringing back some memories of even local singers in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm so glad that you all have been able to enjoy it. While we wait for Mr. Pillai, I don't believe he's back yet. Let me just remind you all that we're having these conversations with our elders because it's a valuable experience that they share. It's important for both me, the interviewer, and others who do interview, as well as the informant. Elderly people, because they've lived through a wide range of experiences, they often have these unique perspectives on life and on our history and our culture. So by speaking with them, those who are in our community and in the Indian diaspora, we can get a better understanding of our past and learn some valuable lessons for the future. So that's why we do this. And we are going to continue to do this as long as they are willing to chat with us. So I want to extend an invitation to all of you all, those of you who are here. Once you have family members or relatives or friends of your family members who are 80 years and over, please get in touch with us, and we would love to have them aired on the program so that we can chat with them. Thank you. Dr. Mahabir, is Mr. Pillai back?
Yes, he's here. Just
Okay.
unmute, Bobji, unmute. Someone is next to you, so she can help you. All right, because you are muted and we can't hear you. You've taken up the video, but we want you to hear you. Yeah, I think try there.
Okay. Okay.
But
One more
maybe
time.
you can.
No.
Good.
Are we connected now?
Yes, keep it. Keep
Can
it.
you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you and seeing you.
Oh,
Wonderful. Thank you for
welcome
coming
back.
back.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were telling us about your experience having actually become a mechanic, one of the first 5 Indo-South African mechanics in South Africa.
In South Africa, that's right.
Yeah, so I admire you for that. I myself, I really can't even check the oil in my car very well. I mean, so maybe that's something we can learn from you. But I was interested, you said that your father had opened a garage as soon as you had finished your apprenticeship. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So you had your father's full support to become a mechanic.
Yes, yes.
Did your father own his own vehicle at the time?
Sorry, ma'am.
Did your father own his own car at the time?
Yes, he did. He did.
And what year was this?
It was the very first car was
No, what year was it?
19.
No, what year was it?
Oh, I can't remember the year, ma.
Quite possibly around 1940s, somewhere there.
Yeah, 1940. Yeah, about 1945. Yeah, thereabout.
1945, right.
Yeah.
So what kind of car did your father drive?
It was a big DeSoto.
A big DeSoto, okay.
It's a Chrysler product DeSoto car, yeah.
Okay, good. And was that a common thing among the Indians in South Africa that they would be owning cars at that time?
We were beginning to get into cars.
So then your father was one of the first car owner.
No. I wouldn't say the first, but it was in the early days. He was one of the a group of them that began to own their own cars. Yeah.
Okay. And what did your
and all the cars were big cars. There were no little cars. They were all big cars.
Right. So what kind of work did your father do, or did he own his own business around that time?
No, before that he was just he started off at a little shop that he rented and opened a tea room with my mother.
Okay. Yeah.
And from there he blossomed into a businessman. Then he got into he opened an ice cream factory, and that he took the ice cream business to another level. I was very proud of my father.
Yeah, very nice. So
everything he touched was gold, ma.
So
Everything.
what kind of ice cream did he sell? Was it sold under a particular brand name? Maybe some of the people in the audience might be aware of it.
Crystal Ice. It was called Crystal Ice Cream Factory.
Oh, very nice.
Crystal Ice Cream
Factory.
And
the flavors, all the flavors. He tried everything, and the last flavor he tried was Milo.
Milo.
And that made him a hit actually in Durban. And although we had a competitor, he didn't have a chance with my dad.
Okay,
My
very
dad
nice.
was just too clever for him. Yeah.
Okay, terrific. Did he ever try anything like curry ice cream?
No, not courage. He was into ice cream.
Yeah, very nice. And so your mom would have also helped in this business, I imagine.
When he got into in the early days, she helped him to where he is. But in later days, when he got really weird, because he had 4 brothers. There was 4 brothers altogether that were with my dad. So my mother became a housewife.
Okay, very nice. So she was able to sit back and relax sometime.
That's it.
Yeah. So we're just curious, how did the apartheid system affect the business ownership? Did it
Apartheid,
affect
yes.
him? Yeah, did apartheid affect his ability to own business or operate business?
Yeah, to operate the business, there was a lot of problem because he had vendors going on a little refrigerated vehicle on wheels to sell ice cream to the residents and to in the beach area. And unfortunately, we could only sell ice cream to Indians. We couldn't go into the white area. We got a ticket. We got in the colored area. We got a ticket. And in the black area, we got black beach area. We got a ticket. So every Monday morning, he had about 15, 20 tickets because these guys were unknowingly, they were going into the different areas. And the same thing happened in residential as well. When he went into, by mistake, went into a white area or a colored area, they were ticketed.
I see. But so let's bring it back to your garage now. You were a mechanic. Did you have that similar problem? Whose vehicles
No.
could you fix?
Didn't help. That problem didn't come up in business, you know, didn't come up in business.
So you could have fixed the
Because-
cars that were owned by black people or white people as well as Indians.
Yeah, yes. Didn't affect the motoring trade. No, no.
How
It's only
strange
in
is that?
Unfortunately, you know, because of the it was the separate residential areas, and you as vendors there was a lot of problem. Even our Indian vendors selling vegetables, you know, in baskets on their shoulder, they had the same problem. They were ticketed, you know. So we went through a bad patch in that way.
Right.
But when it came to garages and servicing garage business, it was well, let's put it this way, multiracial. There was no problem.
I see. So do you think perhaps the laws were skewed because, for example, your father's profits would have decreased? He would not have been able to, by virtue of the fact that he would have not been able to sell to blacks or whites, it would have limited his profits only to the sales from Indians, whereas the service you provided, they needed. So it crossed the ethnic barriers.
But unfortunately, well, we found the molding trade, there was no white, black, Indian, because I had a lot of white customers that wanted me to repair their car.
And by law, by law, there was no issue with that.
No issue at all.
Okay. So what other types of services could have been offered to black, white, and Indian with no licenses?
Yeah, that's it.
No.
There was no license. There was an open license. You can trade with anybody.
Right. What other types of services could have been offered in that way? Do you know?
All services. All services. There was no restriction. All services. If they needed, even if they went out of the motor trade, if it was a service that was offered by an Indian, a white will support it.
Right. Okay. So that's interesting. So when you're no longer a mechanic, you're no longer operating the business, is that correct?
That's right, ma'am.
Who would have taken over? Did any of your family members take over the garage?
No. Actually, we ran it until when I got into the business, we ran it, and I had two brothers with me. Both had health problems, and we had to sell the business because of that.
Oh, I see. Who bought the business? Was it bought by an Indian or someone else?
No, bought by an Indian.
And is it still in operation today?
No, ma'am. No. It's well, I would say they ran it for about 5 years, and then they changed the whole complex, and they got rid of the garage, and they opened many shops in
Oh,
the
I
same
see.
area.
How do you feel about that?
I was upset because we were a household name in South Africa. We were a household name. We had
And
customers coming through the holiday season. We had customers coming from all over the country.
okay, so what was the name of the business?
Atlas Garage.
Atlas Garage. Okay.
That's
I
right.
think one of our good friends, Jay, was asking that whether it was Atlas Garage. We have a question for you from Mr. Gobala. I always mispronounce this. Gobala Kitchenen, I believe, who is from Pondicherry originally. Yes. So he wants to know if you remember Valiamai, who helped Mahatma Gandhi during his first meetings and strikes in Natal. He would have died very young. Do you know this person?
No. It was we were too young for that, man.
You were too young for that.
I was too young then. No, we were
I
little
see.
boys then when Gandhi came to South Africa.
So what do you remember about Gandhiji's struggles? Anything?
Very little, man. It's all what we know of him is what we read.
Oh, I see. All right. And what about your parents? Were your parents involved in Mahatma Gandhi's struggles?
Well, I think so. They would have.
Okay, but you're not sure.
I'm not sure, but I think they would have. Because
Okay.
all Indians would have been behind Gandhi.
You're right. So I want to kind of bring this interview to a close, but I want you to tell me, if you don't mind, what is your view about Indians in South Africa at this point in time? As a group, as a community?
Well, as a group, we are the Indian community of South Africa has a very big hand in the economy of the country.
Mhm.
Because we are all businessmen, very good businessmen throughout the country.
Mhm.
And the whites respected that, but unfortunately, when the change of government and there was a little bit of a jealousy of the Indians, the way the progress that we made to the country, it affected us a bit.
Right, it affected you negatively. Were you ever a victim to crime as a result of your being an Indian who had a business?
When we were young, we never had this problem now. This is a new problem for our country. You know, in the last 10 years, it's something new that's hit the country. We were a very peace-loving country, but things have changed, and it's now it's not what we would like to have in our country.
I understand, yeah. So when you reflect on your life, though, you think you've had a really good life in South Africa?
I'm very proud to be a South African.
Very nice. I'm glad to hear that. And I want to thank you very much for sharing all that you did with us. Thank you very much
Yes.
for taking your time. I know it's late in South Africa right now and you've had that load shedding challenge, but thank you so very much for chatting with us.
And thank you as well, ma'am. Thank you.
Great. So you take care.
Take care. Good night. Good night, ma'am.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. So ladies and gentlemen, there we heard from Mr. Bob Pillai. And it was a wonderful conversation that we had. And we are going to move on now to another South African. This is Mr. Amarlal Kanji Soma. He is 80 years old and was born in 1942. Mr. Soma is a former accountant and CEO of the Child Welfare Tashwane and a former treasurer of Northern's Cricket Union and now of Laudium Care Services for the Aged. So ladies and gentlemen, we had pre-recorded Mr. Soma's interview and we're going to run that for you now. Ravin, please, can we have that? Okay, let's just give him a minute. Thanks again, Mr. Pillai and relative. Ravan, can we have that recording of Mr. Soma? Great. Great. So, Mr. Soma, I want to thank. Great. So, Mr. Soma, I want to thank you very much for spending the time with us, taking the time off this morning to actually start chatting with us. So, you are living where in South Africa?
I'm living in Pretoria. It's the capital of South Africa. And
Is that where your parents actually settled first?
No. My parents lived somewhere else. I'll outline that a little later. But we previously lived in a predominantly Indian area because in terms of group areas, people were separated according to their races. But after independence, I think we were free to move. We recently moved into a gated area for security reasons because the crime rate is quite high in South Africa and security is a big problem. So we've moved into a secure area in Indo-Caribbean in Pretoria.
Do you feel that you are more likely to be victimized as a person of Indian descent?
Not necessarily as an Indian, but as a minority group, yes, definitely.
Have you been victim to any crimes in South Africa at any point during your life?
Yes, once I was robbed actually because while I was working, I carried the payroll and there was an armed robbery, which we fortunately survived. But it's a traumatic experience, yes. And it's a common occurrence where houses get broken into, people's lives are at threat. You can't walk out into the streets for the fear of crime and criminals. And again, the justice system is not there. So
how old were you when, can you tell me how old you were when that incident occurred?
I was still working, around about 55, 60.
55 or 60 years old.
Yes.
Okay. And right now you are 90, correct?
No, it's 80.
80. You're 80. Sorry, I'm rushing you. Sorry. Okay. So at that point in time, though, you said you were transporting the payroll?
Yes. And I came into the office and then people were held up, the factory staff were held up at gunpoint and made to sleep on the floors. And then they obviously took all my money.
Wow.
Tied us up, cut the telephone lines and all that. So that was the traumatic experience. Yes.
Which company was this?
It was a Perry. It's a guy called Perry. He ran the business.
What kind of business was it?
It's the cosmetic. He was manufacturing cosmetic products.
Okay. And you were working as his accountant?
He's an accountant, yes.
Yeah. So how does this little Indian boy grow up to be an accountant? What would have inspired you to choose that particular field?
I think I need to go back into our family history. And like I said, my grandfather, Soma Bana, came to South Africa in 1898. He actually came to South Africa on a labor contract with the intention of working in the gold mines. He actually did work at the gold mines and he was very proud to say that he received a gold sovereign for as a month's salary. Obviously, there was poverty in India and that made him come to South Africa. But life wasn't easy. For a number of years, I think he worked as a peddler, selling goods here and there. In fact, there's a document which says he applied to sell newspapers in the streets of Johannesburg. Now, this carried on until 1927 when my father arrived in South Africa, and between my grandfather and my father, They started the business on the way, on the main road of Pretoria to Wombats, or going up to Zimbabwe.
What
That
type
was
of business?
It's a general dealer business, a farm store. They carried everything from clothing to groceries, even coal and building material, whatever. It's just a general dealer store.
Okay.
And they stayed there until 1938, when following a robbery there as well. So they moved inland. It's about 15 kilometers off the main road, in the place called Valmanstal. So Valmanstal was actually declared a black area. It was first a white area, then a black area. So we didn't have any property rights there. So what we entered into with the owner was a 99-year lease, but it was always under threat because the government would not recognize property rights.
I see.
There we grew up. I think we were a family of 11, which was my grandfather, my father, with my 4 brothers, a sister, my aunt and my uncle with their 3 sons. We all lived in this farm, but during school days, we traveled to Asiatic Bazaar, which was a declared Indian area. But again, we didn't have property rights there. We only went to school. We went to the Gujarati school. We went to English school. In the Gujarati school, we learned our vernacular language. We learned a little bit of Hindi, a little bit of history and religion.
And did they teach you? I see. And how old were you when you went to that school?
It's about 6 or 7, I think, because we started school a bit late.
Oh, I see. So you were about 6 or 7, and you would have gone to that school for how many years?
For about 12 years, until I finished matric.
Until you finish your training?
Yes, and then I went to, I went to a university.
Right.
Now,
Okay.
that's the universities were segregated. There were white universities, there was Indian universities. And in terms of the group where you said, they set up a colored university and a black university. So we had to go to this so-called Indian tribal university.
I see.
And they offered a limited facility. You could study BCom, you could do some forms of engineering. But things like medicine were not promoted because they just didn't have the capacity to provide those type of education. So they granted special permits for them to study medicine, but again, limited facility.
So did you choose accounting because it's something you wanted to do, you were interested in that, or is it because the opportunity for study was available?
Initially, I wanted to do a BSc degree, but I didn't succeed, and my father insisted that I carry on. In fact, I went to the university against, it wasn't my wish to go there. It was my father who said, look, you can't do nothing. You need to go to a university. So he forced me, and he just registered me, and out of respect, I carried on. But again, I was there under protest, so to speak.
I see.
And then when I did want to succeed, and then I did succeed, because then I overcame this resistance. And I thought that, look, it is for my benefit that I study and make something of my life.
Right. And so you would have gone on until you retired as well as an accountant, correct?
Yes. Well, it was a difficult journey. Look, initially, in order to become an accountant, you need to serve articles. But now the condition in South Africa was such that there were such things as Group Areas Act, there's a job reservation, and all kinds of laws that became an obstacle. For example, you couldn't work in a building that didn't have a separate lift for white and non-white. You couldn't work in a building where there was separate toilets, that you were separated from the white race against the black race. So that is the environment in which we came into the profession. And I only got articles because I was more like a messenger boy. I was picking up the mail in the morning, I was delivering tax returns at the revenue office. I made the tea and I washed the cups. So that's the type of job, but that was part of my articles. And I'm glad that I sort of overcame that phase of my life and became an accountant after that.
So you would have had to study in order to become an accountant while doing that job.
I didn't quite complete. I did my BCom degree in accounting as majors.
Now I heard you.
Accountant.
Excellent. I heard you talk about your father. I heard you talk about your siblings and so on. Where's your mother in all of this?
Well, my mother was a very religious person and very quiet and reserved person, but she was hardworking in terms of household chores. In terms of, she was a very keen reader. She read the newspaper every day, and she was quite up to date with the current affairs of the day.
May I ask what religion she followed?
Sorry?
May I ask what religion she followed?
She's a Hindu.
Hindu,
And we are
okay.
Gujarati speaking, yes.
Okay. Okay. Were there any particular habits that she had which were different, for example, from some of the other Indian mothers?
No, not really. She fasted regularly.
What
She
does
observed
fasting, what did fasting entail for her?
Well, not eating from morning till evening. That was her fasting. And she followed, I think she did it on Tuesdays, every Tuesday, so she fasted.
And that's complete
Then various,
abstinence from food.
yeah, abstinence from food.
I see.
And also various religious occasions and festivals she observed in her own way, because we lived out in the farm. We didn't have neighbors or anything like that. It's all Black community around us. And incidentally, we got along well with the community around us.
So,
the farmers.
So in Trinidad, Diwali is a big thing. Was it a big thing for you all?
Diwali, Shivratri festival is quite big.
Yeah. You said you all were surrounded. You were surrounded by Blacks. Did they come over by you all for Diwali?
No. We just celebrated on the quiet.
Oh.
It's only when we went to school and we were in at the school environment, and then the people around us celebrated.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So were there like lots of Indian songs being played in your household? Did your sisters learn Indian dance? What was, tell me about Indian heritage in the household and Indian culture.
Look, Indian culture was there. There was an Indian cinema that showed regular Indian movies. My daughter actually did Bharatnatyam when she graduated in Bharatnatyam.
Excellent, yeah.
So that was one of the things that she wanted. So we had this dance. Well, she practiced, and they had concerts regularly. We always also had a Diwali festival where people participate in various cultural activities, music and dance and so on, which we promoted on a regular basis. I was a treasurer of the organization called Corporation, or a Hindu organization that annually hosted this Diwali festival, and also gone on to Shivratri festival and so on. And that it was an organization that unites the Tamil speaking, the Gujarati speaking, and the Hindi speaking people into one common festival.
Right. So is interest in those types of festivals still very strong?
Yes, they're still very strong, yes. It's well observed, I would say.
Okay. A lot of South Africans, given a lot of what you've said and your own personal experience having been a victim to crime, several South Africans we know have migrated.
Yes.
So how do you feel about that?
Well, it's a difficult question to answer, because over the years we had the opportunity to migrate, and we always thought South Africa was the best. Look, I still think South Africa is a good country. There are a lot of advantages of being South African. We've identified ourselves with the struggle for a more democratic country. And we're very supportive of the African national government. And I don't know whether our trust now is misplaced in view of the crime, in view of the level of corruption, in the lack of service delivery. It makes you regret that, you know, whether your trust in the new government is actually misplaced. But at this age, we feel that we've lost our opportunity of migrating to another country. Although my children are quite confident they can leave, they can go to England, or they can go to Australia or New Zealand. I think opportunities are there for them. But a person of my age, I think it's difficult because you can't go and relocate. You need capital. You need to start a business or something. So I think our days of going anyway are over.
Are over, right? But if your children, your daughter, for example, who's a dancer, or well, she does dance, I imagine, part-time, perhaps.
No.
If she were to come to you, if she were to come to you and say, Dad, you know, I am choosing to migrate, I'm leaving South Africa, what would you say to her?
Well, I think she'll go with my blessing. I think she has worked in Dubai for 8 years, and she did quite well out there. And then she came back because of family reason. And she's built up a good career for us herself. And still opportunity for her to go somewhere else because she's working for an international company. Right.
Okay, so you would be happy whether she stays or whether she chooses to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Is there anything that you would like to say to young Indian South Africans?
Well, looking at my family history, look, it's been a tremendous sacrifice on the part of our parents. And I think we as parents, my wife and I, we worked very hard to educate our children. I know I had a job as an accountant. My wife was a social worker. But then we had part-time work. I did a private accounting practice. She sold second-hand underwear to make ends meet so that we can educate our children. My daughter today is a qualified medical practitioner, a qualified medical specialist, and she's also head of the hospital. So we feel blessed that they have succeeded in life. My daughter, we're talking about, who is the Bharatanatyam graduate, she's the CEO of an insurance company.
Oh, I see.
So I think the sacrifices we make, of our sacrifices that our grandfathers made, they didn't bear the fruits of those sacrifices, but our children and grandchildren do see the benefits of what you've gone through. But I think your life is not determined by what you do. I think it's determined by what your fathers did and the support that they gave you, the education, the opportunities they provided for you. I think that all shapes your life.
Yeah, very much so. Can you tell me what is one of the fondest memories you have of your grandfather?
Oh, my grandfather, yes. My grandfather, often we stayed alone at home when my father and them left to attend weddings and so on. So it was only the two of us. And he would make breakfast for me, a special breakfast. And he would sit and talk to me. And I think that's the fondest memory that I have of my grandfather, just to interact with him on a one-on-one basis.
What did you call him?
Hey, Papa.
Papa. So what was this breakfast that Papa and you would have?
Oh, he made an egg. I think he made a sort of a fried egg.
Sort of
on
a
the
fried
cold
egg.
stove. Yes. On the cold stove, which was really delicious. I love that. It's something that my mom didn't make.
Oh, I see. So he used to make roti. What else did he make? Anything else?
No. Between my mother and my aunt, they did all the cooking. They made roti, they made Indian vegetables, chicken, meat, and all sorts of things we made.
Okay. So is Indian food something still popular in your family?
Yes.
Yeah.
We eat Indian food regularly, the curries, the Indian vegetables.
Okay. Did your grandfather sing or play any musical instruments or anything like that?
No, my father didn't.
Oh, your father?
My father or my grandfather, they didn't sing or anything.
Oh, okay. So
They
I
didn't
guess
even
you...
watch, living out in the farm, they didn't have an opportunity to see movies or anything. I don't think they ever went to a restaurant for that matter. Like I said, it's their sacrifice that we are benefiting from.
Yeah. So it was work all the time.
It was work all the time, yes.
Yeah. So now that you are retired, what do you do in your spare time?
I still do volunteer work for a non-government organization called Laudium Care Services for the Aged. I'm the treasurer there. I do all the administrative work. So I have an opportunity of going to the office 2 or 3 times a week. I do the financial proposal, I do the auditing, I do the internal controls and that sort of thing.
So are any members of your family still involved in farming?
No, I do small scale farming on my plot. I plant green chilies, I plant tomatoes and things, but it is in a very small scale.
Yeah, just to use in the whole household maybe. Yeah. Do you enjoy doing that, or do you prefer going to do the voluntary service?
No, I love volunteer. I've been doing that for years actually, for about 40, 50 years. I've always been associated with the volunteer organization. I started with the child welfare, I went on to cricket. I served on the local provincial board. I'm an honorary member there. I think if you watch cricket, if you saw the first 2 ODI international, it was played at Super Sport Park. That's where I'm an honorary member.
Ah, I see. Okay, so when we're ready to see a good match, we just get in touch with you.
Yes, you can.
I personally like cricket. I prefer cricket to football, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I mean, South African cricket is excellent cricket.
Yes, no. In fact, we admire the West Indians, because we looked up to them being a non-white nation. So we always looked up.
And how do you
against
feel? How do you feel about West Indies now?
We want them to improve. I hope they improve.
Oh, so do we.
Particularly at test level. I think in the IPL and as individuals are doing very, very well.
Yes.
But somehow as a team, they're not performing too well, I think.
I agree with you. Of course, I agree. Actually, a couple of years ago, I would have said, I wish that we had separated it out and we had a Trinidadian team rather than a West Indies team that comprised Guyanese, Trinidadians, Bajans, etc. Because to me, the Trinidadians on the team were really doing so much better, but they were kind of overshadowed. I don't know if you would agree.
Yeah, probably that's your politics. We've got our own politics in cricket.
Oh yeah, cricket does have a lot of politics, but that was just my point. Were there any notable South African cricketers of Indian descent?
Yes, that's Hashim Amla. I think he's well known.
Yeah, Amla, and who else?
Maharaj. Maharaj is a test player. And there are people in the provincial structure and in IPL structures that are playing. A couple of Indian people are playing there.
Yeah, okay, great. And would you say they are on par with the Black South Africans and the white South Africans, or is there any difference in the way that they play their cricket acumen and so on?
No, I think because of lack of facility, they actually lag behind. But then unification came. I think there's no motivation for them. I think we need to encourage, and we as a community, we need to develop our cricketers more. So that they can be in par with some of the other groups.
So is there like a local...
Opportunities are there. Because they are in the club structures there. They play in the provincial structure. There's opportunities to represent your province and ultimately the South African team. So there are avenues open.
But do these Indian guys, do they feel like cricket is something important, or what do they get themselves engaged in?
In South Africa, look, sports was a big thing in South Africa. Also, we had very powerful soccer teams. But I think the new generation has shifted away from sports and more into drugs and nightlife and that sort of a thing. I think that sort of detracts from their ability as cricketers or sportsmen. Because drug is a huge problem in this country.
Even among the Indian community?
Yes, very big in the Indian community. Because there are drug dealers, there are peddlers, and I think the government just lacks capacity to deal with them. So it becomes a huge problem in the community.
If you could just then, based on what you've said, do you feel there is a future in South Africa for these young Indian guys? What do you think is going to happen to them in the next 5 years?
Look, we're going through a period of uncertainty right now. People have lost confidence in the government. On daily basis, incidents of corruption is emerging, and it's large-scale corruption. I think you must have heard of the Guptas and the state capture. So those are a great concern. But I think as far as the youngsters is concerned, there's opportunities. Lots of youngsters are leaving for overseas. And adapting very successfully to overseas conditions as accountants, as doctors, as professional workers. Lots of them are going to Dubai. But I think we as South Africans must see this as a South African problem and must find a South African solution. Because we were part of the struggle, and I think the struggle hasn't ended. We need to fight for the new South Africa. And we need to be more proactive in this whole process, rather than being a defeatist.
Okay, so does that mean that those of us in the Indian diaspora outside of South Africa, is there a role for us? Do you need assistance? Can you make recommendations? Where do you see us factoring in this, if at all?
I think the Indian diaspora played a very important role in the liberation of South Africa. I think they were very vocal at the United Nations and everywhere else. But I think if you see signs of corruption and if you see things like Gupta Gate and things like that, people need to speak out. That South Africa need to transform and become more democratic and more transparent as far as the global stage is concerned. Then I think we'll find South African solutions.
Okay. Do you know anything about Indians, for example, those of us in the West Indies?
No, we see them as cricketers and in the IPL. But I think we identify through music, through culture, and that sort of a thing, through food, through travel. We meet and encounter West Indians. And obviously, it's always a pleasure to meet people of different countries and share notes and experiences.
Yeah. So based on the conversations that we've been having with Indian South Africans, you know, a lot of the culture and a lot of the values we share are very much the same. And so I want to extend an invitation to you and your family. We're having a tour of Indo sites, Indian heritage sites in Suriname in August of this year. So if you and your family, any members would like to join in, maybe you could learn a little bit more. And although Suriname really does not, there are no real Indo-Surinamese cricketers on the West Indies team. Well, that's okay, no problem. You'll meet some of the others anyways.
Send me the details because both my wife and I are retired.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
we look for opportunities to travel. So if it suits us, it'll be a pleasure to join you, I'm sure.
Yeah. So on that note, I want to say thank you very much for sharing all that you've shared with us. We really appreciate you having taken the time this morning. Well, this is a pre-recorded session, as you know, and it will be aired on Sunday at 3 p.m. So thank you so very much for sharing everything with us.
Thank you, Shamila. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, great. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you heard from Mr. Amarlal Kanjila Soma, and he is in the audience. I did see a question posed to him, but I wonder whether or not he is ready to chat with us. Mr. Soma, would you be able to take a question? Let me see if he responds to us. And one of the reasons why we did a pre-recording of his session is so that we would have avoided the load shedding glitches that would have prevented a smooth conversation with Mr. Pillai. So from time to time, we try to accommodate in this way. Of course, it is past 9 p.m. in South Africa, and sometimes our elders need to take their rest early. So we try to balance it. Mr. Gandhi Singh, I see the question that you would have posed. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you. Mr. Suma was here. Oh, yeah, great. Can we get your video on as well? Is that okay? Mr. Soma?
Okay.
Are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
So
okay,
thank you for waking up so late.
Okay. No, I've been awake.
Okay,
Enjoyed
wonderful.
your interview. Thank you.
So let me ask you this for Mr. Dayanand Dancing. He is saying in the 70s, just pre-apartheid ban and post the ban on sports and cricket, what were the Indian community interests and participation in cricket?
In the 70s, look, we were against the white team. I think we were the non-white spectators. People boycotted the sports event that was predominantly white. Although some of the people attended soccer matches, they attended cricket matches, but generally there was a boycott because we were not allowed to play. Even in soccer, look, there was discrimination. And there was a famous incident in Pretoria where one of the Indian person posed as a white person and actually played in the NPL, National Professional League. And so there were some people who were used to play white, but generally, look, people boycotted. People weren't in favor of the white sports. And therefore, you'll find the non-whites prefer supporting West Indies or overseas teams. And that still exists. It's difficult to get out of your system that, look, you were against the white team, pure white team, that you would rather support any other team besides the white team. But look, the younger generation are starting to support South Africans. They feel close affinity to the South African team. So things have changed.
So that Indian who posed as the white player, what eventually happened to him?
No, he was suspended the very next day.
And I guess that was the end of his professional cricket career.
Yes.
All right.
I think you probably heard about Basil D'Oliveira, who actually played in England, and he was selected to play in the English team, and the tour got cancelled because South Africa didn't approve of a non-white playing for another country. So that tour was cancelled. So those are some of the ramifications of apartheid.
Yeah, those creative Indians, what can we see? All right. So, Mr. Soma, there are some comments in the chat complimenting you on all the information that you've shared. A great interview, and I want to thank you again for spending the time with us and for staying up so late to see it to the end. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I didn't know what I was getting into, but it was very, very pleasant. Thank you. I must thank you, really.
Excellent. So we're going to play a song now, just to serenade you, okay? As well as the audience. Terrific. Robin, can we have that, please?
प्यार दीवाना होता है, मस्ताना होता है, हर खुशी से हर गम से बेगाना होता है। प्यार दीवाना होता है, मस्ताना होता है, हर खुशी से हर गम से बेगाना होता है। क्षमा कहे परवाने से परे चला जा, मेरी तरह जल जाएगा यहाँ नहीं आ। क्षमा कहे परवाने से परे चला जा, मेरी तरह जल जाएगा यहाँ नहीं आ। नहीं सुनता उसको जल जाना होता है, हर खुशी से हर गम से बेगाना होता है। प्यार दीवाना होता है, मस्ताना होता है, रहे कोई 100 पर्दों में डरे शर्म से नजर खजीला चुराए कोई सनम से रहे कोई 100 पर्दों में डरे शर्म से नजर खजीला चुराए कोई सनम से आ ही जाता है जिस पे दिल आना होता है हर खुशी से हर गम से बेगाना होता है प्यार दीवाना होता है मस्ताना होता है हर खुशी से हर गम से बेगाना होता है सुनो किसी शायर ने ये कहा बहुत खूब मना करे दुनिया लेकिन मेरे महबूब सुनो किसी शायर ने ये कहा बहुत खूब मना करे दुनिया लेकिन मेरे महबूब छलक जाता है जो पैमाना होता है हर खुशी से हर गम से बेगाना होता है प्यार दीवाना होता है मस्ताना होता है हर खुशी से हर गम से बेगाना होता है
So there you have it. You heard twice today from Kishore Kumar. And of course, we do have to give credit. That song, Pyar Diwana Hota Hai, was from the movie Kati Patang, which was released in 1970. Kishore Kumar there sang to the music of Rahul Dev Burman and the actors, as many of you all would have recognized, Rajesh Khanna and Asha Parikh. And we just want to make sure and give credit to, excellent singers in the same way that we would have had these elders who had so much information to share with us. I'm sure they would have enjoyed some of that music too. So ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we want to move on to the only lady of the evening. And this will be our final speaker. Let me introduce you to Rosie Sergio of Trinidad. She's 82 years old. She was born at home, interestingly, in a family of 14 children in 1940 in the Pinal Debe area, which is in South Trinidad. She attended primary school up to standard 5, and she was married at the age of 16. She's a mom of 8 children. So welcome, Moy. How are you? I hope she can unmute. Leela, can you unmute for mom?
Mute and start camera. Right, there we go.
Good.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, hello.
Hello. How you doing, mom?
I'm all right.
You good?
Yes.
So I want to thank you very much for agreeing to chat with us today.
Okay.
And I want to start off by asking you a little bit about being married at the age of 16.
Uh-huh.
How do you feel about that? Would you recommend that any of your daughters or your granddaughters get married at that age?
No, not
No.
at all. Let's speak up a little bit.
Tell me what it was like being married at such a young age.
Oh, not good at all.
Mhm. What were some of the difficulties? Was it because of the people? Was it because of your husband? Was it in-laws, or was it just being away from your family? What was that?
Well, I was not really fully 16. I was 15 some months. And
Mhm.
you just feel like you leave your parents and you go in a place where you don't know. Strange, everybody's strange, a different life altogether. So it wasn't
Oh.
nice.
Okay. Did it ever become nice, or did you regret it throughout?
Well, regret or no regret, I had to stick and stay.
Why?
Because our children at a really early age, and I keep on having them and boy, year after year. So you can't leave your children. If you regret, you still have to stay.
Mhm. So did you ever speak to your mother about this?
Well, at times I tried, but it didn't make no difference.
What did she say when you told her you really didn't enjoy being married and so on?
Well, all she could have said, well, girl, it's not my choice. It was your father's choice.
Oh, I
So
see.
yeah. It wasn't my choice, it was your father's choice. So,
It wasn't your choice either.
no, I didn't have no choice.
Were you attending school at the time, or did you finish school for a few years and was at home?
I didn't get to finish school. I went to school till up to standard 5, and that was it.
Oh, I see. And which school did you attend?
What is Mendes, not Mendes, Queenam Government School.
Okay, so it was a government school.
Yeah.
When you were going to get married, did you tell any of your school friends about it?
Yes, there are a good few of my friends in my work.
Mhm. And how did they feel about that?
Oh, well, they didn't feel too happy about it, but
Mhm.
we, like myself, they didn't have no choice.
Did you have some of those school friends who also got married very young?
No, my friends of them all married after 18, 20, and all the way.
Mhm.
None
you-
married,
Mhm.
none get married as young as me.
All right. Do you remember your wedding day?
Yeah, like a dream.
Can you describe it to us?
Yeah, well, it's like you don't know what's going on. They just say you have to get married, and what they say, you have to do this, and you do it, and the other. Anything they say to do, you have to do. So it was just like you do what they say.
Who is the they that you're referring to? Your parents, your aunts,
Yeah.
your uncles, the pundit, what?
Parents, yeah, parents.
Parents.
Yeah,
Okay.
they tell you have to get married, and you have to get.
Mhm.
Tell them why they married each other.
Why?
Sometimes I feel like these people had money. They were kind of rich. My parents was not too rich. So it come like you sell a child.
Oh.
That's how I feel.
Do you still feel that way now?
Yeah, I still be like. So I won't put my children through that.
Tell me about the relationship between you and your in-laws.
Well, the truth. Apparently, I had 2 mother-in-laws. And they wasn't too bad. They were okay.
How did you have 2 mothers-in-law
My father-in-law had 2 wives.
at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they was not living too far from each other.
Okay.
But they were kind of nice to me. They were kind of okay. Because they wasn't too much older than me either.
Oh, I see. So your father-in-law, yeah, go on. This is interesting. Your father-in-law had 2 very young wives.
Right.
Which one of them was the mother of your husband?
My husband's mother died when my husband was about 11 years old.
How old was your husband when you got married?
I was stepping 16. He was stepping 18. He was pretty near 18.
Mhm. And where was he in terms of child order? Was he oldest, middle, youngest, what?
He was the second child in family. In his family.
Okay. And who did you live with? Which
Who I
one of
lived
your mothers-in-law?
The young one. He had
Well,
two.
you said both of them were kind of young, so which of them?
Well, one was a little older, the
Uh-huh.
younger one.
Uh-huh.
The younger one.
Okay. And what did she teach you?
Well, she had to teach me everything different from what I know in my parents' house.
Mhm.
But she was nice. She was nice to me.
Okay. So you all had a good time being
But she was
together.
young. She had one. Yeah,
Mhm.
she was nice.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your father-in-law. How did he treat his wives?
He used to be like how will I put it? He had to be like a little abajan because he had two wives to take care of.
Oh. So he was a bajan over whom?
Over the two wives to keep them straight.
Why do you think these two young wives needed to be kept straight?
So they don't fight.
Oh,
So-
so they used to fight each other?
No, they didn't fight always, but now and then they have a little disagreement.
So what would normally cause the disagreements?
Huh?
Do you know
I-
what would have caused the disagreements?
Well, sometimes little things are little. I need this and you didn't give me, and you give she and you didn't give. You know the thing already.
Oh, okay. So they kind of wanted more of his attention each.
Right.
Mhm.
So that
I
used to
see.
cause little argument.
Mhm. So was it a common thing in that area or in that time for men to have two wives at the same time?
Well, at that time,
Huh?
at that time, my father-in-law was the only man I knew had two wives. He was very wealthy, the holy.
Was it that he was the only one who had two wives, or was it that he was the only one brave enough to say he had two wives? Maybe there were others who had two wives and we didn't know, or they wouldn't announce it or something like that.
This one had them home.
So they shared, but he had individual houses for them.
Yes.
Right. And
Yeah.
how many children did he have with each one?
One had 11, that is the younger wife,
Uh-huh.
and the older one had 3, and my husband's mother had 8.
Okay. So it was a big family.
A big family, yes.
So tell me a little bit about being a daughter-in-law in this family. Now, we've heard from some of the other elders that they would have to work in the field, come home, cook, and they would be cooking roti for hours upon hours and be the last one to eat and all this sort of thing. And if the food runs out, well, they would have to go to sleep with none. Was that similar to your experience, or did you have a different?
Well, we used to cook for everybody while we were together. And not for a few years, for a year or two. And then my father-in-law separated everybody. Give them their own kitchen and little utensils to use for the service.
Including you?
Yeah. So he had his own cocoa estate. He had 100 acres cocoa estate.
Right. So that is where the family income would come from.
Right. And he had a big house, one big house for the family.
Mhm.
While we stayed there while he was making smaller houses for me.
I see. Okay. So were you also working in the cocoa field and so on?
Yeah, when we was together, we used to go in the plant with them. The workers.
So
I
what
tell
did you do? What did you
That's
specifically have to do?
Well, When they're picking coffee, we used to help. We used to be in coffee field, help them pick coffee. When they cracking the cocoa, we used to help them take it out, dig it out. They used to have big heaps, and they have about 5, 6 people. The daughter-in-laws used to be there too. Was me and another daughter-in-law, together with the 2 wives. All of us used to be there. Everybody used to work.
Mhm.
And the husband and them used to be, they used to pick the cocoa and make heaps.
Mhm.
And we had a man cracking the cocoa. And we used to be taking it out. So we were workers too.
Mhm. And at the end of the workday, were you all able to leave earlier? Were you women able to leave earlier than the men, or
Yes.
all at the same time?
Everybody used to go home together at 4 o'clock.
Okay, so after working in the field, what would you women do and what would the men do?
Well, the men will go and bathe and go their way. And we have to see about the house, whatever, cook, clean up, do what we have to do.
Mhm. So your second shift began.
Yes, the house shift began when you come home.
Mhm.
You get up in the morning and cook. You have to finish cook before 7 to leave to go to the cocoa. When you come back, they'll be making breakfast and lunch at the same time. But the land wasn't far, so we used to come home to eat, to get lunch.
Mhm.
And then after we finish lunch, we go back again.
And then when you come home, you have to cook dinner.
Yeah, we come home, we make them.
Mhm. And what time would you said the men would go about their business? So what was that? What was the business that they were going to?
Well, like bathe and go and sit down, and all the brothers will bust a line. So and then they go with all the workers. It had workers living on the estate.
Mhm.
So all the workers and the men then will get together until we finish cook. They'll come and eat, go and sleep.
And you still have to clean up after and so on.
Right. You still have to clean up before you go to sleep.
And you getting up before them in the morning.
Yeah. Have to get up and finish cook.
Mhm.
My father-in-law was a man like this. When you see you do, be in time. He blasts on the whole place. You hear him for 2 people.
If you're not on time, what would he do?
Curse you out, curse out everybody.
Oh, did it get worse than cursing?
Oh, because I managed to curse on everybody. No, he did. He doesn't beat them, but just make a big scene.
How did your husband feel about that? You being a young bride coming into their family business kind of thing, and you just had to fall in line, or did he ever express to you that he had some issues with that?
No, he didn't have no issue with it. He didn't have no say because he was dependent on the father.
I see. When did that change? Did that ever change?
Yeah, it changed after a few years. Not a few years now. If you could say about, I had 6 children when that changed.
So why did it change?
Well, we leave and we go on our own, and we opened a chicken farm.
A chicken farm?
Yeah, we started.
Very different from the cocoa business.
Yeah, we opened a chicken farm, and we started to do the chicken business on our own.
How did your father-in-law feel when you all made a decision to leave?
Well, he helped us.
Oh, so it was by agreement?
Yes, he helped.
What made you all leave the cocoa?
Well, I really can't remember what made we leave. But
was the earnings from the cocoa estate as good when you all left?
Yes, it was going all right.
Did it ever change, or was it always good?
No, it didn't change. But he had workers, and my husband decided, well, he wanted to do something else.
Mhm.
because to sit in a place and depend on your father to give you money to mind 6 children,
Mhm.
it wasn't easy.
Mhm.
Yes, so we had to do something to help.
Right. So
Okay.
let's talk about those 6 children. They eventually became 8.
Yes,
And I'm very curious, were these children delivered at hospitals or at home?
all home.
Who would have delivered them?
A nurse from the clinic.
A nurse from the clinic would have come? Was that a service offered by the government, or was it something that you all arranged?
No, she used to come home. They had that at that time. While if you attend clinic,
Mhm.
they would come home and deliver your baby. Yeah, and you don't have to pay.
I
Yeah.
see.
No.
So,
you have-
so did she come alone, or was there help?
Well, she used to come alone, but my mother used to be
Oh, so your mother would leave her home and come when you were going to give birth at your home.
there. Yes, my mother is.
Were you giving birth at your home, your married home, or were you giving birth at your mother's home?
3 of my children, three of them born in my house, home mine,
Mhm.
and the other 5 delivered by my mother.
So was your first child delivered home or by your mother?
By my mother.
Right. Okay. So
Oh,
was it
second.
when the nurse came home to deliver the child? It happened in both cases that a nurse would be sent by the clinic, both by your mother
Yes.
as well as by your house. How far were you living from your mother's house?
Oh, she used to live Scotch Road,
Uh-huh.
and I live Rock Road.
Okay, so still in the same area, basically, Pinal.
It's about, yes, in Pina, but it's about 10 or 12 miles from.
10 or
Okay.
12 miles. And how would you get to her house? Did you have a vehicle? Did you have to take a train or bull cart, or what was it?
No, my father had a car.
Or your father had a car?
Yeah, he used to come take me.
Okay,
then
very nice.
my husband had a car too.
Your husband had a car as well. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about the children again. When you got pregnant, you were young. I imagine your first child would have been born when you were 18 or
17.
so?
17.
Or 17. Okay. So, did you use any specific vitamins, roots, turmeric, leaves? I don't know. What did you take? Anything in particular?
Yeah. That
Can you
turmeric you talk about,
Mhm.
my mother used to make that in the morning every day. You get a drink a nice cup every morning.
Uh-huh. Anything else? Anything else that you used to take?
Well, you mean something as a vitamin?
Yeah.
No. She used to make
Okay.
soup. She used to make food. It's just normal food.
Right. But for the 9 months that you were pregnant, before you would go by your mother, what did you take, or what did you eat at home, or did your 2 mothers-in-law, did they give you anything in special while you were
No.
pregnant?
No?
No.
Prenatal, that's what she asked me. Yeah, no way. And even the clinic didn't give me no vitamins or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But
So. Mm-hmm.
after a few of my children, they start giving cod liver capsules
Mm-hmm.
and milk. They used to give milk, but I never get no milk. They used to give cod liver capsule or get that. They give me tablets.
These were cod liver capsules for you or for the children?
For me,
Okay, and the milk, what kind of milk was it?
well, it's a milk they given in the clinic to drink, in mothers to drink.
And why didn't you get any?
I don't know.
Did you want it?
No, they didn't. When I seen everybody going home with milk and they never give me one.
But you could afford to buy
They
one.
maybe think I could afford to buy it.
It's possible. Yeah. I mean,
But
you were
then-
brought. You were brought by a car. Your husband had a car. Your father had a car. Maybe the others
Yeah,
didn't.
you could afford to buy it. But they
Yeah.
didn't know. I used to just go to the clinic, maybe no money to buy a pack of nuts.
Mhm.
So
So
you
what kind of food did you cook and so on for yourself while you were pregnant?
Well, whatever we buy from the market, like vegetable and rice and dal and all these things.
Right. So you really didn't change. You didn't change your diet too much while you were pregnant. Everything kind of was done the same way.
Yeah, like bhaji and thing, eat plenty bhaji and all that.
Mhm.
But they say to change my food, like people now they take what it is called tablet,
Materna.
Materna. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know what is matuna till I when
Materna
my
buy.
children and them buy matuna. I say, girl, I never know about matuna.
Mhm. And did you ever have a difficult delivery, or was it all just good? Good
Normal.
experiences.
Normal delivery.
Normal
much.
delivery. Yeah. How did you feel being such a young mother?
Oh, I don't know now. I can't even describe. I can't describe the feeling. Tell the truth.
Was it a good feeling or a bad feeling?
Well, when it's your child, you'll feel good to have the child. You
Mhm.
feel like this is my child.
Mhm. And when they started to walk and run around and make trouble and so on, maybe not.
No. Well, really and truly is only.
But you're muted. Leela, I think it became muted in error. Okay.
Yeah, I only had mostly. I had 7 girls.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
But there wasn't too much trouble.
Oh, very nice.
I had one
So
boy.
you had one boy, and where was he in the scheme of things? Number one, number two, where?
He was the second child.
He was the second child. Did you have, we have a question from Kastraj for you. He wanted to know if your family had cows.
Huh. I had a cow.
Your father?
No, I had one.
Oh, you
I
had
used to mind.
cows?
Yeah, I had a cow.
So you would normally feed your children cow's milk?
Yeah, I used to, not all of them.
Daddy had cows.
Yeah, no, we had one and she had a young. So that's how we had 2. Then when I get sick and I had surgery, we had to sell the cow because I couldn't take care of she.
Mm-hmm. I see.
So and she used to give milk. That was so nice. I used to like it.
Mm-hmm. So
Nice
during
taste.
your, okay, and you used to make penus.
Yeah.
So
And
can you
make
tell
that.
us? Tell us, please. A lot of people have lost that art because people don't have cows anymore. So can you tell us how you make penus and when you would make penus?
When the cow now makes young, the first milk, you get the first milk before she feed the young. The yellow milk then. You milk out that milk and you take it and you put ginger, spice, and sugar, you sweeten it up nice. You put it in a pot and you put water in the pot and you put it up to boil. And that will clad and get like cheese.
Oh, so you made the cheesy kind, not the grainy kind.
And the grainy one, the day after, like on the first day, like the second day, the third day, that one does make the grainy one. You put in the same spice and thing in it, spice and ginger and whatever, and you cook in it. That would make the grainy.
To boil in the
And you boil in that milk. You put in that in the pot. You put that up to boil and that will burst like dahi, and then you cook that. That is how you make the panes.
Mhm.
I used to make ghee.
Okay, so how did you make ghee?
The ghee,
Mm-hmm.
you boil the milk until it get brown. And the cream on top, I used to take it out and put it in a container.
Mm-hmm.
And when I have enough, you know, swizzle that up real nice until it gets fine. You ever make oil? You know how does make oil?
What you mean coconut oil?
Coconut oil.
No.
No. Well, you swizzle that up, I will tell you. You swizzle that, and when you're done swizzle that up, you add a little water in it, and all the cream will come on top. It float up, get light. You take out that, put it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you take out the cream, and you
Mhm.
put it to fry. Or you fry that down, and you get ghee.
Very nice. And what would you do with this ghee? Did you sell it or was it for your own household use?
Oh, well, I used to make plenty. So I used to use it when I have my prayers.
Mhm.
Most of the time, I keep it for my prayers.
Right. Okay. So who taught you to make pinus and ghee? Your mother or your mother's-in-law?
My mother.
Your mother. Okay.
My
So
mother
that's
did-
something you grew up doing.
Right. My mother had a cow. When long time people married, their parents used to give the bride a cow.
I see.
That when my mother married, I'm talking about. So she
Wow.
father gave she a cow. And that is the cow she is.
Right. So when you got married, was there a cow?
When I got married, yes, she still had that cow, but she probably get old.
Where you get your cow from?
We buy one.
Oh, so you didn't get a cow as a gift?
No,
Okay.
I didn't get one. I didn't get none. They forget the tradition.
Were there any other traditions that they kind of forgot when it came to you?
Yeah, to let the daughter grow up and then marry she.
Oh, that was a tradition.
Yeah, there's a marriage on 8 years or 9 years, girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
That-
I know.
That was cruel. Worse than mine.
Yeah. So let's just talk about what you remember. Fidel wants to know, what is one of your fondest memories in your life?
Oh, the happiest memories of my life.
Mhm.
What a most. I think I had no happy time.
So we didn't offer you.
Oh, yeah. When I had my children and them grew up, my daughters and them,
Yeah.
all of them, they come home and like for Christmas and they come to visit and have all my children and them with me. And that was the best time.
So all your girls made you happy. All your girls are successful.
Well, yes.
Yes.
All of them. All of them.
Yeah. You would have sent them to primary school and secondary school and so on, or just primary?
A little answer some for me, girl. We all went to secondary school, all my sisters and I.
Right.
They've done,
So
we've all done
so
very well.
Lila, she made sure your future was different.
Yes, she worked very hard and she had to make a lot of sacrifices for us.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
And we did, all of us did very well.
Right. And tell us about your son. You're very proud of your girls. What about your son?
Yeah, well, he was kind of, I don't want to say, but he wasn't too progressive. He wasn't too, like, as if he didn't care what he do there.
Mm.
He didn't go to school enough. He didn't study enough. We leave him the whole business. He ruined everything. So he was a failure.
Did you want to leave the business to him, or was that just part of being an Indian family that the boy inherits everything?
Well, that is the thing. That was the father's choice. The father gets sick, he gets a stroke, and he just hand over everything to him. I was left with you.
Who would you have given it to?
Me?
Yeah.
If I had my choice, I would have given him some. I would have given him, but I would have been the head of it. But I didn't have that choice.
So
Maybe
when your son took over the business, you could have no say.
no.
See,
So
would you have given any of your girls part of the business?
maybe I don't know,
None of us want to.
but none of them would have wanted to work at chicken farm.
Okay, right.
Work at chicken farm.
So
But
what
he
do
didn't,
you? Sorry.
and he didn't want to work it either because he sold out everything.
That's right.
Okay.
He didn't do anything. He said, no.
Okay. What about your grandchildren?
That's the next story.
The grandchildren all did very well.
All
that-
the girls' children, they do good. But the boys' children, so they
Not
do not. They do good.
Okay. So you're very proud of your daughters.
Yeah, well, let's say that.
Well, I'm
And
very
they're not-
happy I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, they're not with me though.
But they're not with you?
I had two daughters in Trinidad.
Oh, okay. Everybody
And
went
they-
away.
Everybody spread all over the world. One in England, one in Florida, one in Canada, one in Tampa. They all over.
So how often do you visit?
Sometimes for Christmas, sometimes when they get time off from the job.
And those are
how
good
we do.
times.
Huh?
Those are good times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Leela, you wanted to say something?
Yes, what we try to do is kind of get, we try to do a gathering like once every year. We all get together and spend some time, which is the best time.
Yeah, I'm sure. So I am being asked to ask you, and this is from Dwayne from Belize. He wants to know what advice you have for the younger generation.
Well, go to school, study, get a job, and get married when you see a person who you really think you could be.
Okay. How do you know though?
Huh?
Good question.
How do you know?
You
But
never
this
know.
is it. Because I married a rich man's son. And I could tell you the truth, the amount I had to work, I don't think if I had married a poor man's son, I would have to work so much.
So it doesn't matter how much wealth they have.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dwayne needs to find a wife. So what advice would you give him?
I hear that one.
Somebody will have to find a wife.
Oh, to
Dwayne
buy a
needs to-
house.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, I see like these boys and I'm getting wives, but I don't know if that is wives or what it is. But one of my grandson have a wife, I don't know if that is a wife or that is a man. But I don't say anything, eh? I stay away.
Why don't you say anything?
No, can't interfere in people's business.
Well, yeah, you can't interfere, it's true. But
Yeah.
good advice is always needed.
If they need it, then, but they don't need it. When you interfere, they say, when me and my wife have a little disagreement, the family is interfere. So stay away and you interfere.
So you could give us advice though. So everybody who's in this audience, we have people of all ages in this audience. Some older than you, a lot younger than you, some close to your age and so on. What advice would you like to give? Not just about marriage, but just about how to live perhaps?
Well, everybody have their own way to live it.
Yeah.
Nobody don't want advice what to do and what not to do.
Mhm.
Because if you have your own children, you can advise them how to live. So I tell people how to live. We know how we want to live.
Mhm.
Want to live a simple life with no bright light around, no parties and no nightclub and no thing like that. We want to live simple. Do you think everybody want that? Everybody don't want that. So you cannot advise people what to do.
Well, I think that's a good note on which to end. Just live a simple life. And I want to
Yeah.
thank you very much for being here with us, Mom. And thanks for all the advice, for all that you shared as well. We learned so much from you today.
Okay, thanks very much for being with you.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. We've heard from Mr. Bob Pillai from South Africa, Mr. Amarlal Soma from South Africa, and Mrs. Rosie Sergio from Trinidad and Tobago. And I really hope all that they've shared with you resonates with you in some way. For some people, I know that it would remind you of your own grandparents, and for others, maybe your parents. At this point in time, I want to say this meeting was recorded live. It will be uploaded later after editing on YouTube permanently for posterity. So you can always go back there and take a look at it. It's being live streamed as well on the YouTube channel of the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center. So I want to say hi to all of those of you on the live stream. And at this point, let me say thank you all for being here. Thank you so much for being members of our audience, and thank you most importantly to our presenters. So I'll turn you all over now to Shakira to formally close the program. Thanks.
Thank you, Shalama. Thank you for being a wonderful moderator. And thank you to our elders. Absolutely beautiful for you sharing your time and your stories with us. And remember that we are still looking for more Indian elders over 80 years old to interview live next month for part 9 of the series. So we are kindly asking their children and grandchildren to help us in this oral history project. As I've said before, this public meeting is being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center and the Amina Kapoor Institute for the Study of Indentureship and its Legacies, led by Professor David Davidine. Please feel free to contact ICC to publish your books and your reports. And we are also kindly asking for you to give us suggestions as well as donations, and you can contact Dr. Mahabir for details. Thank you to our advisory and planning team led by Dr. Kumar Mahabir, and to our IT manager behind the scenes, Ravin Ram Singh, who has been recording the program and will edit and upload it to our website and to YouTube permanently for posterity. Our topic next Sunday will be Vastu Architecture. Very interesting. And also included with climate change. So please visit our YouTube channel to see all our past recordings. I am Shakira Mohammed of Trinidad and Tobago saying goodbye. May God bless you all. Dhanyavad.
Thanks to all of you.